and I have played Forbidden West for a total of 999 hours today. So somewhere during this guide, I'll hit my 1,000 hour mark, and I feel like this is kind of the appropriate time to document everything I'm doing in the game and kind of see have this because I'm probably not going to play this game anymore after this 1,000 hours. But I'm sure when they announce Horizon 3, I'll probably come back to it, and this is my form of documenting that. But also, I can share this with people. So I've done, I don't know, like 12 to 15 playthroughs of this game. On my most recent playthrough, I sold all my gear and had to re-get everything from scratch. But here's my base outfit, and I only keep the gear in my inventory that I use the most. So Tanox Vanquisher. This is for the low health playstyle. This is how you get maximum damage output. So really we're looking at one skill in particular, low health ranged right here. At 4 out of 5, 80% damage below 50% health, right? But because you get fragile living at that low health, you gotta have low health defense, right? Below 30% health that triggers. So you don't wanna be below 50 without also being below 30 because you're more likely to get one shot if you're at like 31% and this isn't active. They can one shot you more easily. Low health melee, this is always nice. It allows me to mix in some melee whenever I feel like I get double melee damage having it once I'm below 50%. And then low health Valor, I love to use my Valor Surges. I use them relentlessly, so I want something that builds Valor quickly and that I can output Valor all the time. Same thing here with Valor Surge Master. And then Evader is nice because when you're living on this low health, you can just roll out of the way of almost anything, right? You can dodge roll way more than you can if you didn't have it. For weaves, because I have multiple playthroughs, I have two of the elite weapon techniques coils. And, you know, the Tenox Vanquisher, it doesn't provide concentration, it doesn't provide stamina. So this is a good coil that gives me a little bit of both of those, you know, stamina regen, weapon stamina plus, and deep concentration. Obviously, it doesn't have concentration plus and some of the other concentration skills, but I find that I lean more into the stamina than the concentration. You can use the concentration coil here, elite concentration, for deep concentration, concentration plus, and concentration regen. Ugh, that's a lot of words. But I find the stamina is more useful, especially when you want to execute some some of the faster kills. You always want to use your weapon techniques. Now, the big weakness with this armor is it's weak to fire and it's weak to plasma. So when you're honestly even at full health, I've been one shot by a fire attack. So when I'm going up against something fire or plasma, either I'm either not taking any chances, like I'm gonna tie them down, I'm gonna restrain them, I'm gonna shock them so they can't even try and attack me, or I'm just gonna switch armor completely. One of the things I'll switch to here is my Nora Thunder Warrior. Now, this is the classic like OP armor from the beginning of the game, but the difference here is it has resistance to fire, but it's weak to frost. It's still weak to plasma though. And then in order to get the low health playstyle on this, I use the low health range weave, which is low health regen, low health defense, and low health ranged, which pretty much is all you need for a low health build anyway. Sorry. Now, obviously that's weak to plasma, this is weak to plasma. So when it comes to like, you know, the plasma creatures like the slaughter spine, I don't use I don't use these, or I just don't take the chance, you know, I'll use purge water to stop him from having that element, something. So another outfit that I like to use is the Quen Deadeye. Now, this is really just trying to lean into that low health range stealth playstyle. So again, low health range, that 80% damage is huge, right? But you also get quiet movement for stealth, low profile for stealth. You get stealth tear plus, and you get stealth range plus. And then, of course, I have the low health range weave on here for the low health range passive boost, which gives me 80% below 50. And then just a little extra, just so I have some stamina stuff, I put on the elite weapon techniques to increase stamina regen, weapon stamina plus, and deep concentration. Again, I've got a lot of these coils. I've got several playthroughs. And then, of course, there's always the up close stealth, the silent strikes. This is one of the most fun playstyles, especially with the what's it called, Stealth Stalker Valor Surge. So pop this on, get the Stealth Stalker. Obviously, I've got the Valor Surge Master and the Silent Strike Gain weaves on here, and that's going to increase how much Valor I get, so I can use this Valor Surge more often. And then, obviously this armor has Silent Strike Plus, Silent Strike Heal, Smoke Bomb capacity, low profile, quiet spare, quiet movement. So great one for just running through, silent striking a whole base. It's always fun. Quen Deadeye, good for doing the same thing at range. So it's stealth, but you're just taking out enemies at range. The difference between the Quen Deadeye and the Tanax Vanquisher for the range playstyle, for the stealth range playstyle, is that you get this stealth range plus. On the Tanax Vanquisher, I don't have any way to get stealth range plus. Now I could add a weave, but I just keep this outfit in my back pocket, so I have it anyway. Right, to the weapons. My favorite bow for just basic hunter bow, Tears of the Land God. I know there's a stronger one that they added with the DLC, but the Tears of the Land God, for me, the Purge Water arrows are great because, as I said, I'm weak to fire and plasma. I like to neutralize those. Also has high tear, and I like to equip it with 5 of the elite tear coils. I've got 1 Purge Water on here, actually. Do I not have another? Oh, I actually only have 4 of those, so yeah, that's why. I probably forgot to buy one in one of my playthroughs. So yeah, this is great for tearing off components when I really need to, but honestly, I don't use it that much. It's just there in case. The Purge Water is more useful. Of course, the Sun Scourge, best elemental bow, Frost, the best element. Stacked it with 5 elite Frost coils. That gives me, what, 29% instant brittle chance, plus a ridiculous amount of Frost buildup. So this freezes everything. Always great. Doesn't matter if they're resistant to Frost, I still have nearly a 1 in 3 chance of freezing stuff. I do love the Grey Singer's Lament for the piercing arrows. I know the Ur's Downfall technically has stronger arrows with the like super elite arrow or whatever, but this is still my favorite. Stealth damage, overdraw damage, instant brittle chance, draw speed, excellent. And I stack it with 5 of the elite critical hits. That's giving me, what, a 75% critical hit chance. And my understanding is the damage on this is not actually 15% critical hit damage. That actually computes as 25% critical hit damage. So I'm basically always landing critical hits with this. And when you're always landing critical hits, it just destroys things. I think I can take down a Slaughter Spine in like 4 hits. Of course, the Rope Caster, the tie that binds. Now this comes in handy when my armor, well, again, as I said, when I'm weak to fire, I'm weak to plasma. So if I'm going up against a Fire Claw, I'm going up against a Slaughter Spine, and I'm sticking to the Tanax Vanquisher armor, I'm going to tie them down with this. The Elite Overdraw Coil, the reload speed and draw speed is obviously good to speed up how fast I can get the ropes on, but that overdraw damage does boost your tie down. So 5 of these means 75% overdraw damage, plus the other 15% on there, it's 90% boost. So you can tie down pretty much anything in 2 shots. And with the quick weapon technique, you can do the basic rope and then the weapon technique, and they're tied down immediately, as long as you overdraw the first one. I don't really use spike throwers, they're not my thing. My bolt blaster, again, this might be a controversial pick, considering that there's a blast forge that does 50%. But the reason I prefer the Eternal Vengeance, I can get 46 damage, not percent, sorry, damage. I can get 46 damage with the piercing bolts. But then on top of that, I have a 25% close range damage boost. I have a 40% melee follow-up. And then obviously overdraw damage is good, reload speed is good, and the instant explode chance is good. What I don't like about the Blast Forge is that instant shock chance will override my brittle state, because the way I like to play it is tie them down, freeze them, bolt blaster. If you get that shock chance and it overrides the brittle state, yes, it paralyzes them, which is fine, but I would rather have them stay brittle and just deal damage. So instant explosion chance doesn't override any state, just does damage. And I'm pretty sure when you add the perks, you can actually get higher damage out of the Eternal Vengeance as opposed to the Blast Forge. Because the Blast Forge perks, the only one that boosts damage is overdraw damage. And I'm not sure if that applies to the weapon technique, sustained burst weapon technique, whereas, the close range damage definitely applies. And I've got it stacked with 5 more close range damage, so that's 150% close range damage boost. And then I always do the melee follow up, and I'll show you how I do that in a second. You just gotta hit a melee right before you unleash the bolts. Shredder gauntlets. Now these are my favorite weapon. To be honest, it doesn't kill them as fast, but it is a good weapon just to like flow through combat. Obviously the shock element is the best. You can paralyze your enemies. And so I've got mine coiled with 5 elite shock coils. That gives me a 25% chance to just freeze the enemy, to shock them, hold them in place. Also boosts the shock buildup significantly. So if they're not getting the instant chance, they are getting shocked. And I have no trouble using this on something that's resistant to shock, like a Apex Thunderjaw. I use this on them. They still stay shocked all the time. Obviously, if they're weak to shock, it'll be even worse. Of course, we have agility damage on this. If you know how to proc this, good. You need to jump when you shoot it. So I will show you when I do that. Concentration damage, always jump and then use concentration to release it. Component tear, always nice. One thing you'll find with the way I have this coiled, increases shock damage and severity by 15%. The chance for enemies to instantly enter the shock state by 5%, and explosive and projectile damage while in the state by 18%. So that projectile damage while in the state, when I shock an enemy and then release the discs, what happens is it's getting the boost to projectile damage, but it's not getting the boost to component tear. So if I'm not careful and I try to take off a component with a regular throw when they're paralyzed, it will just destroy the component. And I have that happen with Thunderjaw Tails. What you need to do is to make sure you're using that 4th explosive throw, which has a lot of tear damage on it, to tear off components at the end. So I will paralyze the Thunderjaw, hit the body until I get the 4th throw, and I'll hit the tail with that so I can try and tear the tail off. Otherwise, the projectile damage boost from these, the 18% 5 times, is going to destroy the component instead of taking it off. That's all my gear. Tools. I like to walk with 1 health potion just in case. It's not really something I use all that often. For the most part, you should be staying in low health and relying on that. Large stamina potion. This is good when I'm using sustained burst or I'm doing the range stealth and I want to use a lot of the focus shot weapon technique. Cleanse potion. Obviously, effects are not good. If they drench me, if they burn me, burn especially is very dangerous. Plasma is dangerous because I'm weak to that. I'll use this. And then the overdraw potion, I love to use this when I'm doing the range technique because it just adds that extra damage to the range build. All right, so I think that's enough blabbing. Let's show this thing off. All right, let's make it nighttime so we get some apexes. And I'll start easy. I'll start with a Tide Ripper since I'm not warmed up yet. Tide Whippers are weak to shock, so this just, the Ancestor's Return just basically stun locks them and they can't do anything. Right. Ooh. There's the Tide Ripper. There we go. Oh, the convoy's next to this. Might have to tear up the convoy real quick. Alright, let's show you how this works with a group. So I pop this just because I'm not in low health. I want to be in low health immediately. I know I'll get it back quick. And I want to start shocking people as soon as possible. I see him as the biggest threat. Obviously the burrows have plasma attacks, so I gotta watch out for those.
She can't move. I could grapple in for a big hit.
One thing with these two, if you miss the disc, it hits the ground behind them and bounces back, and when it's tumbling around, it will still do damage. So you can still shot them with the disc when it bounces around. Cool. So I won't even need that Valor Surge for the Tide Ripper. I just needed it to get me into low health so that when I face the Tide Ripper, I have the low health. But obviously it does boost damage a lot. The 50% increase is amazing. And because it's 200 instead of 201, you actually get the stamina and valor increases, though the valor increase doesn't really matter. Low health stamina and low health valor trigger below 25%. So 201 is technically not triggering them. Just gotta wait for this guy to pull up. I don't want to stun him all the way out there because then I can't get his parts. But he's basically just gonna be stun locked the whole time. I'll use this triple shredder weapon technique just to start. Should have caught that, but whatever. Yeah, now he's paralyzed. And now he's never gonna move again. If I play it right. I got the third tail, I'm gonna take his tail off. That's the tail. Next thing I wanna take this disc off. And you'll see right after I land the throw, I like to dodge in a direction. It just helps me commit to where the shredder is gonna come back. Because once you choose a direction, the shredder follows you. So I like to just dodge left, commit. There's a lot of weak spots on the head, so I like to go for the head here. Dodging again. Oh, I got these guys. The Tanaks over there helping me. You guys be careful. And so he just doesn't get to play the game. He's gonna be on Reddit rage baiting about how the game's unplayable because his enemies have too much stun. This poor Tide Ripper. And there, I'll take a hit, but the hit doesn't do much because I'm triggering low health defense. Like, if I was actually above the 30%, that probably would have killed me. But with that 70% damage reduction, that hit doesn't mean anything. And so sometimes I do play a bit messy with this build, mostly because at the beginning, I definitely want to take some damage just to get down to low health. I don't always trigger the Valor Surge to get there. But also because unless they have fire or plasma attacks, I'm normally safe. So you can play a bit messy, but it does get very intense when you're up against groups if you try to use this exact build. All right. So next, I'm going to show you an enemy that's strong against shock. You can use the same shock shredder against them. It won't change much. Because you have the coils, the 5 elite shock coils, it really doesn't matter. Oh, he saw me. I didn't mean for him to see me. I want to kill the Fanghorns first. I'll let him go by. All right, they're running away. I got my shock shredders. Let's make some more. And people are tempted to use corrosive on this guy because he's weak to corrosive. But when you don't have the stun, you lose so much damage because when they're stunned and you get to like really dig into one of their weak spots, that's the most damage you get to deal in the whole fight. And so he's already shot. So now I'm gonna take off one of those guns because they're annoying. The disc launchers. Get that off really quick. And it'll either get destroyed or ripped off. There, it's gone. And you do have to know how to dodge to play this way. If you don't want to have to dodge as much, you can... Oh, I missed that because I'm not paying attention. If you don't want to have to dodge as much, you're going to have to switch to, you know, the frost and tie down, stuff like that, where you can just really dominate the fight. I find this a little more engaging, which is why I like to play this way. But it's not like you have to play like this. This is something that allows me to really engage with the fight. Where I feel like a lot of ones, you don't really even get to fight them. You just tie them down, tear them apart, and they're dead, which I'll save that for the enemies that are dangerous for my build. So I got both the guns off. I'm gonna see if I can get his tail off. Just need, alright. Okay, it hit, but it's not enough to tear it off. Shocked again. And see, this is an enemy that has the double arrow resistance to shock. But yet here I am, and he can't move. He literally can't move. I'm not sure if the low health does boost the... I'm not sure if the low health range boosts your tear damage as well or not. And there his tail came off. When the disc is coming back, it does damage. When he gets in my face like that, it's good to just pop him in the face and kill him. That is. And the other thing you might notice, I'm jumping, I'm using concentration, but I'm not releasing the disc until I'm in the falling portion of the jump. I believe the agility damage only triggers once you're falling. Jump, concentration, release. Jump, concentration, release. And once you get the hang of it, it kind of happens automatically. I really like the flow of it on controller. I know some people like to play on PC. I don't know how that works, but there, and he's dead. And this guy came to check it out. So let's just kill him real quick. And it becomes almost automatic to where I'll use a shredder that doesn't have agility or concentration boost and still try to do that. At a certain point, I also coiled this with 5 of the agility coils, but you don't need to do that. Especially once you have the elite shock. I think the instant shock chance is so much better. All right. Next fight, we're gonna do something that's not the shredder, so I can show you the rest of this build. So let's take on a fire claw. Again, weak to fire, so I'm gonna tie him down. I'm gonna make sure he can't do anything back to me just because I'm scared of him, because he can one-shot me. I don't want to let him move at all. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go straight for the tie down to start. Okay, he almost burned me there. So normally it takes 2, I'm not sure why it took 3 just now. Now I freeze him. If you hit the armor plate, you deal all the same amount of buildup, but you don't get the degrading of the tie down state as much because their armor reduces damage. Alright, now he's frozen. Switch to my bolt blaster, reload it. I'm gonna pop Defy Death. I'm gonna get my stamina potion ready in the bottom. Jump, melee, Valak, and then release. Sustained burst. Now that does not kill a fire claw, unfortunately, but I'll just time down again. 2 ropes, don't let him do much. He's about to start an attack, but I don't want to see that. Because again, this fire is scary. Now, what can I say? I'm gonna get around back again. With all that fire, I don't know if I can get a melee in. Let's try. Yeah, see how fast my health goes down once I'm burning? I cleanse it. Actually, Defy Death cleansed it for me before I got to cleanse it, unfortunately, because it doesn't let me die. But yeah, he was only, what, 900 damage away from dead after the first one? So you don't even have to do another Valor Surge. You probably just hit him with one of your sharp shot bow shots, a focus shot or something, and that'll take him out after the first Valor Surge. As long as you pop Defy Death, you'll do a lot of damage. And you saw that, I think I did 1200 on some of the bolts. It's like the ones that, they don't actually crit, but when you do sustained burst, some of the bolts do a little extra damage. Alright, so let's check out the Slaughter Spine. Is it still nighttime? If it's daytime, I'll have to reset and get an Apex. All right, it's still night. That's still Apex. So this one, I'm not gonna tie down. I'm gonna stay far, and I'm gonna show you the range now with the Gravesinger's Lament. That name goes hard, by the way. I wanted to see me. Alright, so I'm just gonna freeze him, and I'm just gonna lay into him from far. I'm not even gonna stop him from coming at me. I'm just gonna lay into him with some focus shots once I have him frozen. $5,000 damage for the crit. 5,000 again. You can also make him stumble if you shoot him in the legs. Stops his approach. Now I'm out of stamina. I'm not gonna stamina potion though. Actually, my regular shot just did more. I think it's because I hit a weak point. And boom, dead. Like, he didn't even get a chance to fight me. So all else fails. Freeze, Gravesinger's Lament, boom, max damage, done.